as you can see, there's a little bit of work going on here as you enter into our parking lot area, and that's really across the whole parking complex. So I have notes here because there's so much that's going on. So if you've been here before, you can tell the parking toll booths have moved a little bit. So we've moved the parking toll booths down to here. That's going to give us about 40% more stacking space, so it'll allow us to be able to pull more traffic off of Veterans and into this area as folks are coming to enter the park. You see 2 new toll booths that are being added in addition to the ones we had before. That will allow us 4 extra operators, which will be able to give us 1,600 cars per hour coming through here. So we're going to be able to bring that part more efficient, bringing people into the park. On top of that, as we get into the park, it's not going to be as noticeable now, but you will see that we will be traveling on what are now the guest traffic lanes. They were the former tram lanes, and the former guest entry traffic lanes are now the tram lanes, so they have swapped. So what that has allowed us to do is to create a more efficient and safe entry because we no longer have any tram or trolleys crossing with our guest traffic. It will also be a single circuit, so you'll come in, you'll loop all the way to the front and back out. So that will prevent anyone who maybe needs to come out of parking and turn left to go up to the front gate area to maybe pick someone up. That will be eliminated, so you won't have people that will be trying to turn and go against traffic. And that one-way circuit also prevents two-way traffic. It will all be one-way all the way around, making it much more efficient to come into the parking lots and go all the way out and leave. So you've seen all the projects we have going on. This is probably the largest in scope, but I'm going to ask Eugene. It seems pretty daunting, but can you tell us why this is one that you wanted to undertake and do now?
You think a lot about when you invite your friends over to your house, and the arrival experience is not such a friendly thing to go through. It's probably one of the most painful things that I saw since arriving on the park in 2019 at our peak attendance during our Christmas season, where it wasn't very unusual for traffic to be backed up 3 miles to make that left-hand turn off of Veterans into here because we just didn't have the right capacity. Honestly, we couldn't do enough transactions in a minute to be able to handle that flow. So we invited a traffic engineer group that helps the state of Tennessee quite a bit in their planning of their road system to come in and reimagine the experience in the parking lot to make it a lot more efficient. We've streamlined what we think is one of the most important segments of our business, and that's the people that are staying on our hospitality. You've heard me talk a lot about our future and that being a big part of how we're going to be moving our attendance forward. Well, the guests that are visiting on hospitality will now have half the amount of time on the trolley to get to our front door than they had in previous years, which we think is a really huge benefit. And like everything that we do, there's not an open checkbook to just spend freely. So oftentimes you'll hear me talk about phases, but that's the beautiful part about a 10-year plan is you can actually phase the workload over that 10-year grid. First phase is what you see today. It's fixing our capacity at toll plazas and redoing the loop. Now the guests are going to be entering and exiting on one consistent loop. No more crisscross applesauce, which should not only make it a safer experience, but the entry and exit experience, the first thing that you experience when you come here and the last thing that you experience when you leave, is going to be much improved. So I'm hoping from a guest experience perspective, that's far improved. Then Pete's going to add a lot more attendance to the bucket, so we have to be ready with additional parking. And we have 2 incremental parking lots that will phase in over this next 10-year period that will add incremental parking spaces to the lot that you see. We're now one complex in everything that we do. When we talk about it, it's not about Splash Country parking and Dollywood's parking, it's one complex. And the tram system that will activate in fall when Splash Country is closed will be an improved experience to get people from the Splash Country parking lot to our front door. So we know that that's going to be a big improvement to where we're going to go. And Wes and I kind of thought we'd do a wave, but you can't fix the front door of Toll Plaza and not be prepared to handle what's coming down the wave, right? Because when it crashes on the beach at our ticket windows, we have to really be ready to handle the speed at which people are going to be arriving at the front door. So we're really excited to be installing a new security system at our front door. The company's called Evolve. You probably would recognize Evolve being used in the NFL. So the Titans use this security system. You know how big of a stadium the Titans play in. They have 17 Evolve security systems to handle the entire stadium, inbound traffic when people show up to the front door. It's incredible. What I like most about it, it's really smooth. No more unloading your pockets, unloading book bags, taking stuff out of the stroller if you're a parent. It's no more of that. You cruise right through. We tested it in December last year, and in one unit we had over 3,200 people pass through safely. That equaled the capacity that we had on all security system lanes operating at Dollywood before we made that transition. That's a game changer for us in terms of getting into the park, because we think it'll add incremental value to our guests that are visiting.
So let me jump in, and so Wes talked about, and when we were in Splash Country, talked a lot about listening to the guest, and Eugene used the word voice of the visitor. So if you step back 2 years when COVID started and we started to have to restrict things and really adjust how we were operating, I mean, you know, some of you will remember that we had literally hundreds and hundreds of operational changes as it based that were based in COVID. Well, we started listening to the guest, and we wanted to know what the hassles were, what issues they had when they were entering, what issues they had when they were exiting, what were the things that we could do better. And I mean, the last 2 years have been like a postgraduate course in guest experience for us. So the things that you're seeing, the new security system, the new parking, all of that goes to removing hassle factor from our guests. It's all about what they observe and how we can make their experience better. Because as Eugene said, we're welcoming more and more guests. When we were standing at Splash Country, he said last year was a record year for Dollywood. So if you put that in kind of context, we added Wildwood Grove in 19. That was a record year and a record attendance year. In 2020, we were attendance restricted because of COVID. We still made money. We were one of a handful of theme park complexes around the country that actually made money in 2020. In 2021, we were very successful. We set a record for what we were able to do to serve our guests in 2021, and we looked at that as a visioning to where we could be at the end of 10 years, and removing those hassles and the potholes that we have that our guests identified to us is very important, vitally important to us having a great guest experience, and that's what we're here to do, is to serve the guests.
Potholes, but intended again.
Pun intended.
All right, any questions about any of the entry experience? Yes.
You know how many places you can park now? Like, what is the estimated number?
1,706 spaces on property.
Okay.
Obviously, there's people that come, visit the park, they leave. So it's obviously more spaces in a day because of turf.
What people ride the trolley?
Great. People ride the trolley.
Anyone else?
Yes. Moving the booth back mainly just added stacking space.
It allowed us a couple of things. It added stacking space, and it made it easier for people to find their lane. If you remember coming here on a Saturday, it was a hot mess coming around that corner, right? Where do I go? But now there's going to be more lane formations. And then it'll allow us to increase the capacity and also get a little bit of spread on where our ticket booths are from a toll plaza perspective. So it makes it more comfortable for our guests that are bringing in a little bit larger vehicles.
And remember, it's one lot. So it's not a Splash Country lot and a Dollywood lot. It's one lot. And so it's managed as one lot. And when we add the expansion lots, it will be one lot. And that's how it's managed. So a lot of thought, a lot of engineering went into how we would make these adjustments so that we remove pinch points, we remove cross points. We wanted it to be easier, faster, but also safer.
In your long-term 10-year plan, does this remain the main entrance?
Yes.
Anybody else?
More cars will be stacking here than before.
Well, it's 40% more.
40% more cars. How about I respond in the direct number of cars? I'll ask Lance. He'll know the number off the top of his head. My brain's too small for that, but I can get it to you. Let's just say it's significant.
For the theme park fans out there, are there different names coming to the lots or the same thing?
Well, we tend to like Dolly's earrings, and we like those other things that you come to know and love about the park. A lot of those were homegrown. That's what parking supervisors started with, and when they trained their tram drivers, that's what it became. So those are going to remain the same.